Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. We've got a story here, but it is actually in two parts, and it's in two articles in the paper, but they are very much intrinsically linked. So I'm going to touch on the first one to do a bit of background before hitting on the main story as what I want to sort of concentrate on. So be there. So we'll be slightly different format here where I'm flicking between the two stories. And on a slightly different format note, I would like to flag up something that's going to be happening later today, rather excitingly. Leslie is going to be doing interviews, and we're going to get her on for a Zoom. And so what's going to happen is she's doing a long interview, but it's split into two parts. Or should I do two parts and not be rude? It's split into two parts. Now, I'm going to do part one with my interview with Leslie. And part two of Leslie's interview will be with Craig Houston. Now, I've been speaking with Craig this morning. We've arranged that this is how we're going to do it. So mine will go out. Mine will be part one because we're going to be talking about current issues with regards to the COVID inquiry and sort of what's been happening with press and the clampdowns and things like that. So we're going to deal with that in part one. And then Craig is going to take on and take over as part two. So there'll be the two videos. At the end of my part one, I'm going to put the link in the bottom corner, which will be the link to Craig for part two. So you won't need to go find it. So do please hit subscribe on my channel so you don't miss it. And also, when you go across to Craig's, if you're not subscribed on his, do also subscribe on Craig's as well. And that way, you know, we can we strengthen each other. We can run. We didn't want to do the same interview twice with just different accents, basically. So we've decided, we've spoken, we said what we'll do is I'll do one half, he'll do the other half, and then we'll put them out as a matched pair. So like I say, exciting stuff, new and different. Anyway, getting back to this, we have here the Edinburgh Our Crisis Centre that is being focused upon due to malfeasance, shall we say, in the way that people are treated. The boss of this Our Crisis Centre, which is, you know, something that women who've been attacked go to, is a man who likes to dress up and pretend he's a woman. That is not a good look, initially. And then this man has been doing a bit of a witch hunt and trying to fire people who believe that sex is real. Yes, I know, denying science, denying reality, because it doesn't suit his warped mind. This man should be nowhere near this centre. And that's the first half. We'll have a look at that. And then the second half is J.K. Rowling standing up and again fighting for the side of the angels, fighting for good, and having her say on this whole tawdry little mess. So after a very long intro, of which I hope I haven't tested your patience, let's go in and have a look at these two stories. First one about the person in particular, the second one about JK. Here goes. Shamed Edinburgh Our Crisis Centre boss is a failed SNP candidate who was backed by Nicola Sturgeon back when he was a man. Riddle me Wadder. I don't know how you pronounce that name. I'm going with that. Riddle me Wadder is facing calls to quit after brutal employment tribunal found a female staff member at the facility had faced a heresy hunt for her gender-critical beliefs. Now, we've already had this through court, of course, and you are allowed to be gender-critical. You are, in law, allowed to hold views that say men are men, women are women, and neither one can become the other. The shamed CEO of Edinburgh Our Crisis Centre is facing calls to quit after a brutal decision in an employment tribunal against the facility. Riddle Wadder was heavily criticised for his behaviour against former worker Ros Adams, who had been successful in her construction dismissal claim. The bombshell report into the centre revealed a Kafkaesque heresy hunt against Miss Adams, who is gender-critical feminist. It shows Wadder, who is a male, branded those who disagreed with the centre's ideology that trans women are women, are bigots, and even refused to refer people to an all-female service set up by J.K. Rowling. So down the road, an all-female one where only women are allowed in, which I think is excellent. No reason for a man to be in there. Outside of, emergency services or something, attending. No man should be entering that building. And even then, there should be women officers present, that sort of thing. This is absolutely right and decent. It is the correct thing to do. Men should not be there. It's traumatic for these women who've been so badly done by men. As a man myself, I wouldn't think of going in there. I know it would be upsetting, but then that's because I'm a human being, not a complete mentally retarded, dumb. Do you know the words I want to use would get me off Facebook, off YouTube, so get me off Facebook and all, let me tell you. I had a month before because of that. Anyway, the findings have destroyed what was left of Wadda's professional reputation. A supporter of breaking up the UK, the former Edinburgh University student had previously sought political office with the SNP, and in 2017, Wadda stood as a nationalist candidate in the council elections for the Edinburgh ward of Craigentinny and Duddingston, and I need to get better glasses. I'm having to tip up. Very focals. I have to go through the bottom to read some of these. However, they were soundly beaten when he was soundly beaten, winning just 6.3 of first preference votes after being relegated to the third SNP candidate on the ballot. What a shame. Undeterred, in 2021, Wadda set eyes on Holyrood, aiming to stand in the Edinburgh Central or Stirling. Wadda's presence on an all-women shortlist for the latter sparked anger, particularly because he's a man. And he was eventually overlooked for Angus Robertson in Edinburgh and Evelyn Tweed in Stirling, or Evelyn Tweed Stirling, I don't know, bad writing, despite seemingly having the backing of Nicola Sturgeon. In the same year, he moved from the Forth Valley Our Crisis Centre to Edinburgh. At the time, they did not have a gender he did not have a gender recognition certificate, so as well as being male, Indian-born Wadda wasn't even legally female. No, he isn't anyway. He's a man. Ironically, Wadda eventually quit the SNP after MSPs backed a law that would let our survivors choose the sex of the person examining them. Oh yes, a man doesn't want a woman to be looked at by a woman, because obviously he's a heterosexual male with a dress fetish. Putting on the old panties probably gives him a stiffy. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, if he's got an apple, he's got a banana. The board of directors at the Edinburgh Our Crisis Centre said they were saddened by the outcome of the tribunal. Oh yes, they're very sad the fact that going after people who agree with reality is not the done thing, and that you can't do these things. There's a strange man who hates people who accept reality. Well, let's hope he loses his job. Now, that is one half. Let's go to the other half of this story, which is here. J.K. Rowling reacts to the Edinburgh Our Crisis Centre decision, and as she's calling for gender critical protection. In other words, in law, if you say a man's a man, a woman's a woman, and you don't believe a woman can become a man or a man can become a woman, which is of course correct, biologically, medically, scientifically correct, you shouldn't be punished for holding, inalienable truths. The Harry Potter author said there'd been a witch hunt carried out against the likes of Ros Adams, who won her employment tribunal against the centre. Rowling has said it's time for gender-critical women to be given the same protections as gender ideologues, and the Harry Potter author was reacting after an employment tribunal found that the ERC carried out a heresy hunt against the worker, and we've covered that in the previous half. In June 2020, this is about Ros Adams. In June 2022, she received an email from an abuse survivor who wanted to know whether the person she was going to see was a man or a woman, and sought guidance from her superiors about how to respond. Disciplinary proceedings against Miss Adams started in late June 2022, although the tribunal said it could not establish the precise chain of events that led to this. The evidence has been described as damning against the ERCC chief executive, Midda Woodall, a man who got the role in 2021. Rowling has now said she hopes the tribunal will be a pivotal moment in women's rights. And of course, she's now working for J.K. Rowling herself at Rowling Centre. You see, this is the thing about J.K. Rowling. She doesn't just stand there and talk. She puts her money where her mouth is. She's paying for this Our Crisis Centre out of her own money. She's got enough of it. But she's spending it on something that matters to her. And I think it's just marvellous that she's prepared to do that. There's so few that will. Some will sit there and glad hand and glad mouth, but they don't really want to dig into their pockets. She did. Well done. Anyway, Rowling said while she was pleased for Miss Adams, she found it disheartening that we're relying on the bravery of individuals, who are mostly women, standing up. Not this one. I'm a man and I'm standing up to. Up to unlawful harassment and discrimination to expose the harms that gender identity and ideology is doing to the rights and protections of women and girls. And she's absolutely right. Get to the end here. She said, it's time for employers to protect those holding gender critical beliefs, or as we like to say, scientific fact, in the same way that gender ideologues have been protected. And hopefully today's judgment will bring about much needed change. And it will. I mean, this is one of those things where it's now been established in law that you cannot go after people who say that men are men, can't become women. The law is now saying that because of this case in this forum, this what's the word? Tribunal. But also there's been court cases that have proved this. The European Convention on Human Rights, the 2010 Equality Act. They're all there. They're all protections in law. And for any employer or anybody to castigate you, insult you, do anything simply because you believe in that is wrong. In law, it's a crime. And that's what that Middle Ruddle, whatever his name is, Riddle Mudder or whatever, silly Mudder. Anyway, hopefully he will lose his job and he will never work anywhere where there are vulnerable women again. Coming up. Well done, JK. I'm sorry, I'm not done. I'm going to say something. The more she goes on, I know she's got some pretty left-wing views on some subjects, but on this thing here, she's absolutely right. And the more I see of her and the more she fights for it, the more I admire her for it. She gives a voice to people who don't have a voice. Well done, JK. I'm going to stand with you. Thank you. Now we're coming up. There we go. I think I've said it all. I don't think there's too much to add, except well done to Roz. Well done for winning. And it does set that precedent in future that will give other women and men, anyone, protection in law against people who want to push this degenerate agenda. Anyway, thank you very much. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.